Same garage, same car, same fuel load, same tires, same regulations. And yet, one driver is arriving at every braking zone with a battery full of power, ready to attack, while the other is already running on empty. Ferrari didn't lose control of their season on the circuit. They lost it inside their own data screen, the moment they saw a 15% gap between their two drivers' electrical energy retention. 15%, not between rivals, not between different teams, between teammates. The paddock assumed Lewis Hamilton came to Maranello to learn, to adapt, to perhaps squeeze one last championship from a brilliant car. But nobody assumed he would arrive and immediately make Charles Leclerc look like he was driving the wrong formula. So here is the question Ferrari's engineers are losing sleep over. Did Hamilton expose a flaw in Leclerc, or did he expose a flaw in Ferrari itself? To understand this rivalry, you have to understand what the 2026 regulations actually changed. This is no longer Formula One as anyone knew it. The new power units run on a strict 50-50 split between combustion and electrical output. The MGUK is not a boost button anymore. It is the lifeblood of the SF26. Every single corner, every degree of steering angle, every fraction of a second spent scrubbing sideways across the tarmac, all of it attacks the battery. Drain it through inefficient cornering, and you are not racing a Formula One car on the straight. You are managing a very expensive, very slow energy crisis. And this brutal new reality has split the Ferrari garage directly down the middle, because Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton do not just drive differently, they drive in opposite philosophies. Leclerc is arguably the most gifted single-lap qualifier of his generation. His instinct is to carry enormous minimum speed through long sweeping arcs, what engineers call a U-shaped cornering line. He leans on the outer tire edges, trusts his reflexes to catch the rear, and dances on the absolute limit of grip. Before 2026, this style was devastating, beautiful, flowing, and brutally fast. But in this new era, that same beauty is costing him the race. When Leclerc carries high minimum speed through a long corner, the car stays under lateral load for longer. The tires scrub sideways for longer. Surface temperatures spike. And the constant low-level throttle he applies to maintain that arc of momentum prevents the MGUK from entering its optimal harvesting phase. The battery doesn't just drain, it bleeds invisibly, silently, corner after corner after corner. But that was just the start of Ferrari's problem, because what happened next changed everything. Hamilton doesn't flow through corners, he attacks them, then leaves. His V-shaped cornering philosophy is the exact opposite of Leclerc's. Instead of carrying speed through a long arc, Hamilton sacrifices mid-corner momentum entirely. He brakes phenomenally late, diving deep before aggressively rotating the car in one short, sharp, almost violent movement right at the apex. It looks less graceful, less artistic, almost abrupt compared to Leclerc's sweeping elegance. But the physics behind it are nothing short of a masterclass. Because Hamilton brakes later and harder, he generates a massive initial spike of kinetic energy, which the hybrid system greedily absorbs. Then his left foot modulates brake pressure deeper into the apex than almost anyone else on the grid. The MGUK keeps harvesting for critical fractions of a second longer during the entry phase. While Leclerc is already off the brakes maintaining his U-shaped momentum, Hamilton is still actively regenerating power right up to the point of rotation. Ferrari had not modeled this. It wasn't in their simulations. They had not contemplated that any driver could optimize the hybrid system to this level without sacrificing pure pace. And here is where the story gets dark. Because when they tried to replicate what Hamilton was doing, adjusting maps, simulating his lift points, imitating his throttle application, something always went wrong. There was always a deviation, always a loss, always a moment where the energy didn't return as the data said it should. The uncomfortable truth landed hard inside the Scuderia. This advantage doesn't live in the car, it lives in the driver. The place where the 15% gap is truly born is Hamilton's corner exit. Because Hamilton rotates the SF-26 so aggressively at the apex, squaring the corner off like a mathematical right angle, his steering wheel is straight significantly earlier than Leclerc's on every single exit. And that moment, that early straight wheel, is the golden ticket. When the steering is straight, the car is no longer fighting lateral g-forces. 100% of traction deploys longitudinally. Hamilton simply flattens the throttle, demanding maximum electrical deployment with zero risk of wheel spin because the rear tires are not simultaneously trying to turn the car. Leclerc, still turning the wheel on exit, cannot do this. His hybrid system has to feather its deployment to prevent the rear stepping out, wasting electrical efficiency precisely when he needs it most. Telemetry shows Hamilton spends up to 0.4 seconds less in the cornering phase per turn. Multiply that across 15 or 20 corners, across 53 laps. The compounded energy saving is enormous. Hamilton arrives at every braking zone with a fuller battery. He unleashes a massive electrical overload on every straight at the exact same moment Leclerc is being forced to derate. And there is one more devastating layer to this. Ferrari's Macarena active rear wing, the revolutionary rotating device designed to shed drag and boost top speed, requires its transition to complete within a strict 400 millisecond window under braking. If a driver initiates braking while still carrying steering input, the sudden aerodynamic shift violently unsettles the rear axle. Hamilton brakes in a perfectly straight line. The wing transitions while the car is completely balanced. By the time he applies steering lock, the rear is already planted and stable. Leclerc, carrying corner speed to the entry, hits that transition mid-steering input. The rear twitches. The reflexes save it, but the harvesting cycle breaks every single time. Hamilton drives as though he designed the wing himself. For Leclerc, this reality is more than a technical problem. It is personal. Charles is a driver of pure passion and instinct, someone who extracts lap time through bravery and natural mechanical sympathy, qualities that made him a Ferrari icon before Hamilton ever arrived. To be told by a telemetry screen that your flowing, beautiful driving style is mathematically inferior to your teammates' aggressive stop-start geometry, that is a bitter pill. And yet, to his absolute credit, Leclerc is fighting back. Engineers have seen him deliberately squaring off corners in free practice sessions, trying to rewire muscle memory built over an entire career. But the cost is immediate and brutal. He loses aggressiveness, he loses the instinct that defines him, and when he tries to demand the maximum again, the system no longer responds the same way.
Meanwhile, the internal pressure inside Ferrari is quietly escalating. When two drivers share the same car but produce different results, the team is forced to make a decision. Do you build the car around the driver who is winning, or do you protect the driver who has been the face of the team for years? Ferrari after China still does not have a clear answer. And every race Hamilton performs above their own expectations, every lap he extracts performance their models said was impossible, the Scuderia loses one thing that matters more than points in Formula One: control. Scenario 1. Leclerc successfully rewrites his instincts. He masters the B-shape. He matches Hamilton's energy numbers, and the Ferrari garage becomes the most dangerous partnership in the paddock. Two drivers, one philosophy, and a car finally operating at its true ceiling. Scenario 2. Leclerc cannot close the gap. The internal comparison becomes impossible to ignore. Ferrari faces the most painful choice in modern motorsport: managing a sporting legend they signed against a homegrown icon they cannot abandon. The garage that was supposed to be a dream becomes a fault line. Scenario 3. Hamilton continues to refine. Every race, every stint, every micro-adjustment widens the gap further. Ferrari brings upgrade packages, Japan, Miami, beyond. But the core problem was never aerodynamic, it was never mechanical, it was conceptual. And by the time Maranello truly understands what Hamilton has discovered, the championship is already decided. Can Charles Leclerc rewrite the instincts of an entire career fast enough to matter? Or has Hamilton already turned the SF-26 into something that only he truly understands? And the question that will define this entire season? In a garage built on passion, instinct, and a monegasque fire, What happens when the data says the maestro is already gone? One thing is certain, this is no longer just a championship fight. It is a war inside the most iconic garage in Formula One. And the most dangerous battles are always the ones you never see coming. Tell us in the comments, can Leclerc close the gap? Or has Hamilton already won the war before the season even begins?